Hello and welcome to Alpha Bravo Pinball. My name is Andre, and tonight on the program we have none other than Bon Jovi. Yes, one of the few machines that exist out in the wild. Huge thanks to the amazing folks at Slingshot Pinball for making this video possible. We're going to get up close to the game. I'll show you its shots and features. We'll do some gameplay, of course, and right at the end, I will save my opinion for the very last. I'll tell you what I think of the game. Should be a fun one, so let's get started. Released by Barrels of Fun in 2026, Bon Jovi was designed by David Van Ness. This is just the company's fourth pinball machine after their debut release Labyrinth in 2023, Dune in 2025, Winchester Mystery House also in 2025, and now Bon Jovi in 2026. David Van Ness was a designer on all of these titles except for Winchester Mystery House. And just now I said it was released, but has it really been released? This is a game that is not yet in full production, and I am thrilled to have one of just a few handful of machines out in the wild right now. This is indeed a super early unit with serial number 3. It's just bananas. How on earth is this in my garage? Well, if you watched my last video, you know that there's a place called Slingshot Pinball in my hometown, and that they're awesome. If you couldn't tell from that last video, well, now surely you can. They were nice enough to give me exclusive access to their copy of the game for just a couple of nights, so I could show it to you all. By the time you watch this video, however, this game will be back at Slingshot and available for you to play. So yeah, folks, this isn't going to be like my typical deep dive video, which takes over 100 hours to make. I only have this one for a short while, but I'm going to do my best to show it to you as best I can here. Now, back to the game itself. Unlike some companies that release different editions of a game at various price points, Barrels of Fun has done only a single edition of each game, and this one is no different, coming fully trimmed out with some premium cabinet features such as high-gloss side art, anti-reflective glass, a premium sound system, and more. As for the Bon Jovi theme, while this is the company's first music-based theme, of course, it continues what is effectively an industry-wide trend, with some of Stern's best-selling games being music-themed, and other companies have done them as well. All right, with that little bit of history out of the way, let's dive right into the game and take a look at its shots and features. Bon Jovi is a 4-flipper game, but only 3 of those 4 are active during normal play. It has 2 flippers at the bottom, of course, and a mini flipper near the back of the game. We'll take a look at the shots that you can make from that mini flipper as we go through the layout in a minute, but first let's talk about those 2 bottom flippers. At first glance, it may look like a bog standard 2-flipper configuration, but take a closer look. Those are not your regular size flippers. They're what we call lightning flippers. They're just a hair shorter than your regular ones, and while it may not look like a big difference, if you've played a lot of pinball, the difference is absolutely enough to completely change the feel of the game and how these shoot the ball. Finally, that 4th flipper. When the ball drains on the left side of the game with the lightning bolts down below lit, this will activate the crowd surf ball save flipper, and you get a chance to flip the ball back into play. Now let's take a look at the playfield from left to right. Starting at the very left, we have a scoop, which returns the ball back to the flippers. There is a ball save as part of that return, which is nice, because not all of the feeds back are the friendliest. Next, we have the left orbit. It has a drop target partway up, but if that drop target is down and the ball makes it all the way around, it can return to you via 2 different lanes. There is a diverter at the top right of the game that can return the ball either to the right orbit or to the lane immediately next to it. Next to that is the left ramp. There is a diverter at the top of this ramp, and the ball can be returned to either flipper. Note that a shot that only makes it halfway up the ramp can be dangerous and lead to a center drain, something that is reminiscent of some older Williams games from the 90s, but not necessarily the most common in other modern games. There is a center post on this game to save center drains, by the way, but when the ball is coming down at an angle towards the middle like that, that can just be really tough to save. Next, we have the crowd cheer captive ball, which has a Newton ball behind it, which flies into a spinner. At the back of the game, there is this really interesting ramp shot. I guess I'll call it the center ramp. What's neat about it is you don't shoot directly at the ramp entrance, as you don't have a clear shot at it. Instead, you have to aim a bit off to the right into the ball guide, which will then deflect the ball into the ramp. This ramp doesn't have a wire form return, but instead dumps the ball back at you via the left orbit. Just next to this is the steel horse mechanism, which is a 3-ball lock. You get balls into here from either side orbit, as the entrance is actually at the back, either with a soft shot, a soft plunge, or, during certain modes, there's actually a magnet back there that can catch the ball and put it in the steel horse. Next, we have the most prominent mechanism of the entire game, the heart and dagger mech. The heart can raise and lower to different positions and send the ball to different places as a result. It can send the ball back down into the lane to the right, it can dump the ball back towards the player, and it can even send the ball to the ramp behind it. Also, when the heart is in the raised position, there's a hole below it that the ball will fall into and return to the player via subway to the scoop. Next to that is a stand-up target that is a bit more prominent than the others on the playfield, as it has several inserts in front of it, so logically this one has got to be more important in the rules. But speaking of stand-up targets, there are several scattered about the entire playfield. Those 3 at the top left, yep, those are made from that top mini flipper. There's also a spinner up there and a magnet that can catch the ball and send it back to the left orbit. There's a little lane there, and at the end of that lane is a post that can also act as a ball lock. Also off of the top mini flipper is a shot to a lane under the left ramp. The ball then falls into a hole that feeds the subway back to that bottom scoop. All right, back to the main shots from the bottom. Next, we have the right ramp. Nothing too complicated about this one. The ball returns to the right flipper. Then we have the right orbit. Just like the left one, it also has a drop target halfway up, and this is where balls plunged into play end up. There's a skill shot by plunging just enough for the ball to stop in the steel horse mech that I mentioned before. Okay, folks, it's time for some gameplay. Let's switch over to the multi-camera rig. All right, folks, let's play some Bon Jovi. Skill shot is at the back center of the game there in the lock mechanism for 10 million points, and that will take us right into our first song, Runaway, which is very, very pink. All these pink arrows. The only non-pink thing you'll see on the playfield is that blue arrow behind the left ramp, and that is to start a crowd event. I can make it in there. It's a very difficult shot off that little flipper at the top. But in the meantime, I'll just try to collect as many pink arrows as I can for some mode points here. Ooh, danger, danger. I'm scared by that one. All right, just enough to make it there. That left ramp is steeper than the right one and difficult to backhand as a result. Now I also have the crowd cheer captive ball lit. Right there. I will continue to combo as much as I can. Just not quite enough there for the heart. Take 2 works. Eventually I'm going to make it to that blue arrow. I hope. And then, all right, rock on or move on. Let's rock on, of course. Dangerous feed out of that scoop. However, well, first of all, it bounced out, but there is a ball save grace period there because the scoop is kind of dangerous. Let's combo left-right ramps here and then the middle hard shot. And like I said, eventually I'm going to make it to that darn blue arrow. Meantime, we're doing all right here at 307 million. Oh, bounced into the center ramp there. I'm going to say luck on that one. Still not making that blue arrow. It's the hardest shot. That wasn't lit. Try to take an orbit that is lit. There's a diverter, as you saw there. It doesn't come back to orbit every time. Sometimes it comes back the arrow lane, as I call it. There's an arrow pointing towards you. It's kind of unusual. Normally the shots in pinball all point away from the flippers, but that arrow insert is pointing towards you, the player. And the ball will come back from there. Center hard shot, yes. Blue arrow, no, it doesn't want to go, folks. You know what though? As long as I continue making my pink shots, I'm not going to complain. Did I finish the song? Yes, song is done. Center post, gotta just chill. And now we're into the next song. Whoa, danger! Yo, Grace Period. I'm so lucky. Grace Period there. All right, into Bad Medicine with blue arrows. Now the chain of lights telling me to go to the heart. I will comply. Oh! All right, well, still a good ball one with 434 million plus bonus. I'll take it, folks. Let's see, we should get some decent bonus points here. Oh my goodness, 2x, 30 million, yes. Whoa, plus 40 for love scoring. Nice, all right, we're gonna go on to Living on a Prayer, or Living on a Prayer, I should say. There's no G, there's no G. All right, this is a kind of gimme 2-ball multi-ball. And you'll see one of the coolest things about this game, that levitating heart. Very cool. It kind of reminds me of the Time Machine in Rush, but cooler. And I believe this song might end if you drain down to 1 ball. I am not super familiar with this rule set. I've only played this game a handful of times. This game is brand new. Obviously still very early code. Did you see how the heart can throw the ball onto the wireform ramp there? Super cool. I need the heart again. And evidently my multi-ball is not over. I thought I was going to bounce that one, but nope. Yeah, so there you go. Song total. It does end the song when you drain back down to single ball play. Next song, You Give Love a Bad Name. I need a red arrow there at the heart. Yes, the animation. No! That drained 638 after ball 2. I think we're getting close to high score territory. This game is days old, so the high score is still within my realm of possibility. As soon as those amazing Bay Area players that are way better than me, like Tim Hansen and Andrei Masenkoff, etc., they're going to show up one day at Slingshot and blow this up, and then the high score will be out of reach forever, so getting my chance now before it's too late. Alright, got a white arrow now at the left and right ramp. And drain, alright, 675, that might do it. Let's see. Yep, not a good bonus. 684. Let's see. Is it good enough for a high score? Yes! High score 4. We did it. We got a high score. I'll take it. Surely it won't last for very long, but it's better than nothing.
Good night.
Well, that is Bon Jovi, folks. I hope you enjoyed seeing some gameplay. All right, folks, you've seen the game up close. You've seen some gameplay. Now it's time for likes and dislikes. I'm going to try to keep this as unbiased and fair and honest as possible with the constructive criticism for Barrels of Fun. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. And by the way, I'm not really affiliated with Slingshot Pinball in any way. They just happen to be amazing people who thought maybe you would want to see this game. And that's how it's here in the garage tonight. So, what do I think about this machine? All right, let's start with the physical object that is this game. What a thing of beauty. I think the artwork is just great all around. I love that we've got a real back glass here and it looks great. And the playfield, especially the playfield, has just fantastic artwork. And that is what you spend the most of your time looking at when you're playing the game. Full thumbs up on the artwork. In terms of the cabinet, the game feels quite solidly made overall. The cabinet plywood construction is quite nice. I would definitely say a notch above Stern cabinets, for example. However, when I look at things under the playfield, I do see some wiring here and there that's a little bit looser than it needs to be. Some wires that are too long, that aren't tied down, and too close to some solenoids. With that said, remember this is game number 3. I have no idea if this is typical of Barrels of Fun construction or if this is just unique to this particular copy of the game, given how early of a unit it is. But back to the positive on the cabinet now, the sound system is amazing. This is one of the best sounding games from the factory that I've ever heard. You can get this level of sound quality on a Stern machine, but it requires a bunch of very expensive modding. For a game to sound this good from the factory is just top-notch, well done Barrels of Fun. And this is a music game, of course, so all the better. Now let's talk about what is for me one of the most important attributes of a game, which is the layout of the shots and all the stuff on the playfield. What I'm looking for in a game is a good balance of difficulty with some easier shots and some harder shots, a variety of types of shots between ramps, stand-up targets, drop targets, etc., and a mix of distance of shots, some near shots, some far shots. This game delivers on absolutely all of these fronts. It has tons of flow, if that's what you like, and it is really satisfying to chain shots into combos. The Heart and Dagger mech is particularly impressive. It's just a really cool feature. I love how it changes where the ball goes, depending on its configuration and the mode that you're in. This is top-notch stuff, for sure. The only nitpick I can say about the layout is I'm not in love with that top flipper shot into the back of the left ramp. As you saw in the gameplay, I don't know if it's just me, but I had a real hard time with this shot more than anything else. It kind of reminds me of the SIM card shot on Dialed In, if you're familiar with that game. Anyway, no layout is perfect, and that is literally my only complaint about the layout here. Everything else I just love and I consider top-notch. This is a very fun game to shoot. On lighting, this game comes factory with a ton of RGB, in other words, red, green, and blue LEDs, including inside the cabinet walls. It's quite spectacular, and obviously I appreciate that they put so much into it and that the light shows are just that impressive. I do have a couple of minor nitpicks on the lighting, though. The cabinet lights don't seem to have a diffuser on them, and this shows up on the game in a kind of this zebra pattern on the wireforms. And in terms of the lighting design in the modes, I think they've gone maybe a little bit overboard for my taste in color. The game can get kind of washed out. You saw that I was in this pink mode for a while, and everything just kind of looks pink, which kind of dissolves a little bit of the color on the artwork of the printed ink on the playfield. That, of course, they could adjust in software updates. We'll see how that changes as the game evolves. This is a good segue onto software and rules. On this topic, it might not be fair to judge the game right now, as again, this is a very, very early copy of the game, and the code is clearly not done. As it is now, the game is fairly simple. Not all the modes are programmed in, so it will be interesting to watch this one and see how it evolves. It is a rockin' game, though, and while Bon Jovi may not be everyone's cup of tea in terms of theme, in my opinion, it makes for great pinball music, and even in its current state, it is quite fun to play. So when you put that all together, what's the conclusion on this one? Well, there's a lot here to love, folks. Plain and simple, this is a very impressive package that Barrels of Fun has put together, and it is a ton of fun to play. I'm not going to lie, after my first game of this at Slingshot, I was thinking to myself, I just might have to get one of these things. Unfortunately, though, there's one pretty big hitch, which is the price, an unknown future depreciation of this game. This is, after all, a $12,000 machine. And listen, I get it. It's packed with stuff, different mechs, a killer sound system, etc., etc. But for me personally, 12 grand is just a little bit too much for a pinball machine. At least one that has unknown future value. Could go up, could go down. There's just no way to know. Some people might be wealthy enough to roll the dice, but for me, this is going to be a game I go over to Slingshot and play, not buy for my own garage. All right, and that'll do it for this video. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think of this game? Let us know in the comments below. Sincerely hope you enjoyed seeing this game up close and personal. And by the way, just a reminder, you do not need thousands of dollars to play this pinball machine or any pinball machine for that fact. Please support your local operator. They're awesome people. Go to pinballmap.com and you can maybe find a game close to you. With that said, have a good night, everyone. Go play some pinball.